Hey, everyone. This is Jeanette the Oracle. Welcome to Oracle Talks. Happy Lionsgate, happy full moon in Aquarius, and just happy life. If you woke up today, give thanks to Spirit, God Creator, that you are still here and that there's still more for you. I'm joining you from sunny California. Got my ceremonial matcha latte here. Enjoying that, and will be continuing to enjoy that since I got that as a birthday gift. But yeah, hopefully everybody is doing well. You know the deal. As you come in, please say hello. Let me know where you are joining from, and not just me, but everybody else. Let us know where you're joining from, what you might be sipping on or eating, and let us know how you are. I'm doing great. The sun is out. Summertime is that time for your girl. So I'm loving it. So today is a special message. I guess kind of sort of for the Lionsgate. I'm titling it Lionsgate, but it really is something that is not necessarily about the cosmos per se or the astronomy and astrology, but more so something that's actually been in my spirit for several weeks, and I just wasn't sure like how it was going to come through, but the clarity came through, so I'm sharing. So the intention for today's message is actually a a gathering of us and the ancestors broadly. So not just your personal ancestors, but our collective ancestors. Okay. These are going to be, ancestors that you rock with and ancestors that you don't. For whatever reason, this is for all of us. Okay. But what I was picking up and that was available and that's kind of happening that I want us to consciously participate in and engage in this process is a collective sharing that the ancestors are doing, essentially coming together in this grand marketplace, if you will, at this time that we're in for this Lionsgate portal, where resources are being shared. And I'm saying resources rather than gifts, because of some later things. I'll tell you in a second. But yeah, coming together to share resources. Okay. And these resources can be information, it can be skills, opportunities, relationships, money, intel, whatever, right? So everyone just kind of like is available here haggling in a way for about these resources and sharing them. So for us here, because we're also in the spirit, but in the physical gathering here and either joining here live or watching this recording, we are essentially coming to see the wares, right? We're coming to this very sacred gathering. Friend or foe, coming to the sacred gathering because this is a sacred space and seeing what the wares are, seeing what's available. For the interest of ease and simplicity of getting messages, getting enough that, there's a lot that we can kind of sift through versus like, only having one or two or trying to get all of them. I'm going to be framing the resources that are available to receive by or correlating to the 12 zodiac signs. This does not mean that the resource is the zodiac sign. This also doesn't mean that the resource associated with a zodiac sign is for you if that zodiac sign is your sun sign or what have you. Okay, like that's not what this is. I'm just using that zodiac sign framework as a way to kind of compartmentalize and get specificity and make it easier to reference. So you will find as I go throughout this channeling that I will say, if it's like the Aries one, it'll be like, okay, the Aries resource, but really the first resource that we are looking at and seeing if this is something that we are able to receive, that's how it's correlating. Okay. So I do really, 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 really want to caution you again, saying like, oh, I'm a Cancer. The Cancer resource must be for me. No. Okay. You need to listen to all 12, and I will timestamp them for easy reference, but you need to listen to all 12 and spend time with your specific beneficial ancestors, elevated beneficial ancestors, and see which one of these resources that are being shared collectively, okay, are actually available for you to receive, okay? Of the intention as I set for the space, because I already got the cards out and everything, is that there will at least be one, okay, that is available for you to receive if you are part of the Inner Sun's Alchemy Soul Family. And I would assume it if you're here, right? So there's going to be one for everyone. If there are more, there can be more that's available. But again, that does need to be checked with your ancestors, because this is an ancestor sharing process, ritual, conference, if you will. Okay. Now, why I'm saying again, resource rather than gift is this is available to receive. It's not being freely given. So it's not a gift, right? It's available to receive in exchange for a sacrifice, a giving up of something in order to actually receive this thing. Okay. Because this is not, these resources aren't something that are just like, family inheritance or things like that. Like, it really is a gathering in the spirit of the ancestors and a sharing in this grand marketplace, this conference, what have you, of things. And it is an exchange. Okay. So there is a release or a sacrifice of something in order to receive whatever this resource is. So I have also cards correlated to that. That's only going to be relevant for you if, once you go through all 12 and you sit with your ancestors and you're like, okay, I'm clear, like we're clear that this thing is something that I can potentially make use of, then you would, go deeper into whatever the release or the sacrifice is in order to receive that thing. Now, also, even if one or more resources are available for you to receive, you do not have to receive them, okay? Just like going to a buffet, just because there's a whole bunch of food that's available there does not mean you need to eat all of it if you don't actually want it, if you're not in the mood, if it's not actually serving your purpose, your goals, your soul development work in this life and beyond. If it's not serving the family, if it's going to be more trouble than it's worth, depending on where this resource is coming from. Okay. So keep that in mind. All right. But that is how this is kind of set up. Okay. I forgot to do the timestamp for like the explanation I was going through. I was supposed to do announcements first and I jumped right into it. So I'll do announcements real quick right now. The schedule has been updated for next week for sessions. So if you want to book a session with me, you can go through on the sessions page of my website, check the link below for the website link, go to sessions, see the available types of sessions that are there, and see if one of those options for this week ahead work for you. Again, now that I'm back from birthday vacation, every Saturday, the week ahead is updated for sessions. So check those out. If those don't work for you, or you, just have other circumstances, I can also do a recording. So just reach out to me and let me know, and we can arrange that. Also, in case you haven't noticed, or if you're not on the email newsletter, the August 2025 astrology report is up on the blog page. So definitely check that out. Okay. With that, I go through and provide both personal and business insight based on the different transits, and provide also all the transits so that you can keep those in mind as you go through the month and plan. All right. Welcome to the folks who are here. Again, as you come in, please say hello. Let us know where you're joining from, what you might be sipping on, etc. Good to see you. Also, please let folks know that I am live and to come through and join. We're going to start with the first resource, which is going to be associated with the Aries sign. Okay. And this first resource that's available to receive, again, whether you are Aries or not, because it's not sign specific, it's just a sorting. It's like a sorting hat. You have the card Higher Level Forces. So this resource says essentially that you have access to engage with and receive support from higher dimensional support. Now, this feels more because I'm not getting specific force or energy. This feels more so like a portal or access, opening space, etc., to allow you to be able to connect to higher level forces. So this might be something more so that either helps you unlock that in general, if it's something that you haven't really been able to have access to overall, or if it is something that is already comfortable for you and you want to expand that or tune it to something very different, that kind of is the vibe that I'm getting off of this particular resource of higher level forces. Okay. So, as you, again, go through all these signs, check and see if with your ancestors, if this is something that is a resource for you. I don't know if this is coming from what you would consider a beneficial or negative ancestor, because again, this is just a group, but this is what is here and it's available. Now, if you do resonate with your ancestors and they say yes, the thing to sacrifice in order to receive it is some kind of relationship. Or some types of relationships in general, because it could be more than one. Yeah, this feels like a because this person is dancing with something basically that is not like them. So it's like the relating, whatever the type of relationships are, but since this resource seems to be more personal about you opening up and opening up to higher level forces, whatever this portal activation is, it could be intimate relationships. Or I guess if you're working with others, it could be the relationships with them. Okay. But basically, this engagement with this engagement with a particular relationship or relationships actually has to be released. Has to be not even released, it has to be sacrificed. The language is specific, it's a sacrifice. I don't know if I have anything more around that. Whatever the relationship is that is there that has to be released, it's something that's comfortable. So, but again, check in with your ancestors, because this portal energy could be beneficial or not, depending on what you are actually tapping into. So be aware. Taurus. So the gift associated with the second, or not, I'm sorry, the resources, the second resource that I'm just associating with Taurus as a marker, not the actual sign, is the card Inner. Okay. So this actually feels like a catalyst for speeding up soul growth, soul development, soul expansion, consciousness expansion, evolution, etc. It literally, like, that word catalyst is what's coming through. But it's within the individual soul. So this might be a resource that's helpful for those who have felt like they haven't been able to connect with themselves more deeply, been able to access their own soul wisdom, body wisdom, whatever. Like, this feels like that resource, like it's, again, a catalyst, and helps speed up that process. Now, it's also not beginner catalyst energy too, because it's this, what I'm also picking up is that it can catalyze access and integration, the integrator process, depending on, what you're trying to do with various soul aspects, multidimensional aspects of the soul. So it's not necessarily like beginner awakening energy. It can also be like, deeper multidimensional awakening and potentially integration, again, depending on what that process is. So whatever it is that you are engaging with within your own, I'm hearing the phrase soul evolution, this is a catalyst to speed that process up wherever you are, along that path for yourself. Okay. Now, that which has to be sacrificed in order to receive that resource, if that is something that you and your ancestors say is something that is available and beneficial for you specifically, okay, is the Knight of Pentacles. This is giving me the vibe of ego death. This knight is holding this pentacle here, and it feels more like, oh, I don't want to let go of this thing. So, in the beginning stages of spiritual awakening, like, it's having to let go of the construct of personality up to that point, your gender, your race, religious beliefs, like all that stuff has to be put up on the altar to be sacrificed, essentially to open you up to more possibilities and a more conscious rather than subconscious creation of self. If it's, in other aspects of the soul evolution work, this could be letting go of abilities, resources, connections, etc., that are comfortable and that give you a sense of power that essentially have been crystallized into a new persona, right? And allowing that to drop away so that you can actually do that work that you've done in the beginning, really opening up to what's next. Expanding the possibilities in order to consciously create a self rather than unconsciously, or in a way that is like led solely by desire. All right, Gemini, or the third resource. If you are just joining, as a reminder, please do read the instructions in the description in terms of how to make use of these messages. All right, so third resource we have is thankfulness. This is an interesting resource. This almost actually feels like armor or some kind of anchor that neutralizes or stops the flow of something. Now, this does specifically feel unequivocally like a beneficial resource, whereas um, the first two resources that we talked about, um, depending on the spirit, can be used for good or for evil, right? Excuse me. This feels specifically heavenly divine. A specific tool, resource, anchor, armor, what have you, that staves the progression, at the very least stops, pauses, or is able to push back against the encroachment of chaos that is actually not life affirming. So if this is coming through, this is not a small thing. This feels very tactical, like war tactics, which, can be addressed in the spirit, but also in the physical. So depending on who you are and the kind of work that you are doing, in community, in the family, in the spirit, this may be a really useful resource. Now, the sacrifice in order to receive it, essentially what you're going to use to pay for that resource if you do want it, is the page or the princess of pentacles, interestingly enough. Sacrificing the page of pentacles. Okay, so this is feeling specifically like sacrificing the idea or the way of operating, actions, practices, etc., where you think the power of your own hand or the power of the group is enough. And instead, recognizing and submitting to the fact that that which is the great mystery, that which is beyond, that which is life essence, the Holy Spirit, or what have you, is that which is working and has the real power. And not just in thought, but in action. So essentially, spirit, not religion, but spirit is the basis. And so those parts of the practices, the actions, etc., that are putting you in the work of your own hand, that's really what I'm getting from this. The work of your own hand is being elevated here. Like this, that's what's important in this card. That energy, that practice, those actions is what needs to be sacrificed. Okay. Welcome to folks coming in. Please say hello. Let me know where you are joining from, what you're sipping on, if anything. All right, so the fourth resource. Okay, the Cancer sign, but the fourth resource is glory, victory. So this feels like it can actually be a weapon or armor that ensures success in battle. And battle can be anything, right? It's you up against an opponent. That's not the same as competition, though. Okay. In a competition, everybody's in the same pool vying for one thing. Okay. But this guarantees success in battle. Weapon or armor. So if this, if you spend time with your ancestors and they say like this resource specifically is available for you and you agree and you want it, that which has to be sacrificed is the Eight of Wands. So a couple things with this. This can talk about impulsivity, or what I'm getting from this is like sacrificing impulsivity. Okay. Another thing, and especially since this is talking about the resources about weapons and armor that guarantee success in battle with your opponent. This is also not fighting every battle. Because just because you win a battle doesn't mean that there aren't consequences to the fact that you've been in battle. So that's a way of dealing with opponent has to be sacrificed. If it's, anything and everything that you see as like conflict or what have you, like you're engaging in, like, no, that has to be let go. This has to be, especially if we're talking about glory, there's no glory from winning in skirmishes. That just feeds ego. So that has to be sacrificed. Hope that makes sense. All right, the fifth resource, Leo, right? Fifth resource is forgetting. With these resources, remember, this can be any context. This is the collective of ancestors, so it really can be any context. All right, so this forgetting card is actually really helpful, I think, for healing. So the vibe I'm getting from this is it's a resource that supports the ability to let go of that which you have been tied to. Okay. So this could be possibly like cord cutting, just energetic release from jobs, relationships, what have you, that you want to release from. Nothing about this is about attacking other. It is about the self and healing and release. Okay. That's the vibe I get from this. So this may be a resource for you that, again, if this resonates with you and your ancestors, this may be a resource that if it's available, you really may want to say yes to, especially if this is something that you have difficulty in doing. Now, this doesn't have to be necessarily a release or forgetting or clearing of that which has been, bad or traumatic or sad or what have you. It can also be helping you to remove yourself from old ideas of yourself so that you can do that reconstructing of new self, belief systems, new goals, like, because you do have to have a new framework, a new perspective. And so it can be more forward looking in its intended, in the way that you intend to use this resource versus like a looking back and like, oh, I gotta let go of that thing. It can also be used in a creative way. So just to keep that option in your mind. To the sacrifice for receiving that resource, if it is available for you, is a Seven of Pentacles. We have a lot of pentacles out so far. So, okay, this feels like the physical release of items, not hoarding those things, because the Seven of Pentacles in traditional tarot can talk about failure, like things not working out. But given that this is Pentacles and this forgetting is really more so of the mind and the energetics, this tells me that in the physical, things that you are trying to quote unquote forget or release from, you also have to get rid of the physical things associated with whatever it is that you're trying to release or forget, right? So if this is like, cord cutting, that kind of relationship stuff, that means then whatever items you have from that person, from that individual, needs to be let go of. Whether it's like a piece of jewelry they give you, or if it's a house y'all have together, it has to go, right? On the creative side of things, if this is like, letting go of let's say if it's money, like say you want to start a new habit of saving, right? Maybe the old ways of being were ones where you didn't have any kind of systems in place. There was like a lack of discipline there. And it was just kind of like willy-nilly. This is saying that has to get let go, and you have to actually put systems in place. So things have to automatically get taken out for savings, rather than like, you just going in every once in a while and being like, oh, I'll put this aside, right? So you see what I mean with that, okay? All righty. Next, the sixth resource associated with the Virgo is poter, which is power. The power resource. So this, what immediately is coming to mind is this can be great for restoring energy. Okay, so this is something that can be used to tap into to help restore or charge the energy for something. Now, it's a very broad statement, so depending on who this resource came from, whether beneficial or not, just keep that in mind. So again, check in with your ancestors as you go through these messages and see what's actually available for you. But that's basically what this is. It's a restoration of energy. It charges, provides energy. All right. Now, in order to receive that, we have the Nine of Cups as representing that which has to be sacrificed. Interesting. So this Nine of Cups is actually giving me, just the imagery of this is giving me like a feeding energy, like a constant search for some other outside of you to to give you that fuel. I don't like the vibe of that. So this power card feels like a natural resource. Anybody positive or negative can use a natural resource, but a natural resource is that resource that can power. This Nine of Cups feels like parasitic behavior, cannibalistic behavior, like trying to find another spirit, another person, something else to feed something. Okay. So what this might look like in a more kind of mundane context is going from relationship to relationship to fill a hole within yourself that can't be filled by someone outside of you. That's that behavior. Hope that makes sense. All right, next we have the seventh resource. So just correlating that right now to Libra, just for ease. We have the card of waiting. So waiting, of course, would talk about patience. So maybe this is a resource that you need. Maybe you're not a patient person. There's actually a few things with this. Because there's an observing energy here, which can talk about like objectivity, being emotionally detached from something, seeing things from a broader perspective, and again, not being impulsive. But it also can be that energy of waiting to strike. It can also be a waiting to observe, waiting in the observe sense, not again in terms of like strategy, but more so really watching. So I guess it really depends. If this is something that your ancestors say is like a resource for you, kind of depends on how you want to use that. There's a quality in the waiting that, again, that patience that very much is needed. And that specifically is the resource to be able to do whatever else is interpreted in the card. So that quality in particular feels like it's a core thing that actually is needing to be paid attention to. So this may be relevant for you if it is something that you are drawn towards. The sacrifice in order to receive that particular resource is the Fool card. Now, the Fool card in this deck is an egg. This energy, I mean, it's an egg, so it's closed off from the outside, from the elements, right? Welcome to new folks coming in. Say hello. Say hi. This is almost feeling like in order to make use of that resource, you actually have to get out of your shell and be in places where you are, in essence, exposed, or at least outside of your comfort zone. So Trying to think of an example. If you are wanting to, like, if you know you need to engage in networking to increase the people that you know for career development, what have you, this waiting card can be great for that because it's going to force you to be very present and aware with folks, you know, in that space. But in order to engage with that, you have to sacrifice this energy, which is, again, wanting to be closed off, being your own little corner, and not being engaged. So this waiting energy is not performative in that context of networking, right? It's more so like, no, you're there, but you are seeing and observing what's not being said, being objective in that process. Okay. And then you can do what that information that you want later, but you have to actually be there. You have to be around the thing. And that might be tough for some folks. All right. Next, for the eighth resource, which is the Scorpio correlation, we have the closing card. That's an interesting card to have as a resource, closing. This actually feels like the ability to shut down things. Again, however that gets used by whoever gets used. And to be clear, again, this is a resource available to everybody, whether they're your friends or you're not. So this ability to close things down or shut things down. Now, this could be deep intelligence for understanding the nature of a thing to be able to shut it down, right? Like you have good pattern recognition, or you understand the mechanics of something. You understand, you know, we're talking about like debates of the people, like you understand how certain arguments get constructed or like the approach that's being made. So it's easy for you to be able to shut that down, right? That's that kind of energy. Again, these resources are for all contexts. So it doesn't have to be spiritual. Also, obviously, our human lives, because this is what's important for us navigating here in this world. So this might be a really interesting thing, a resource to take up if it's something that your ancestors say is available for you specifically. Now, the sacrifice in order to receive that is the Three of Cups. That's an interesting card. Now, because what I'm getting with this is this card can represent like gossip. But in this context of closing, this might be sacrificing sharing everything freely. And this may be literally closing your mouth, like keeping your mouth shut about things. And maybe that is something that you really need help with because you don't know how to keep a secret about stuff, whether it's your own stuff or other people's stuff. And so the sacrifice of sharing, of needing that group reinforcement, excitement, whatever, because it could be, you know, a positive thing too, right? It's not just negative stuff. It could be, you know, creatively you're, oh, I have this idea, I have this goal, what have you, and just want to share. And it's like, no, that may your ancestors may be like, you need this resource. All right, next we have the ninth resource. So this is going to be correlated to Sagittarius. We have small, little. Interesting. This is almost this feeling like a resource that helps you to make something seem smaller than what it is, which can be useful if you don't want everybody in your business, or if you don't want to tip your hat to something, if you want to protect something, right? It can kind of make it go under the radar. Again, however it is that this resource is being used. But that may be helpful and insightful for some folks. In a context that we can understand, like a specific example, this could be learning, like this resource providing you the ability to thread that needle between building a brand and not exposing your personal self, right? So you can keep more of you and your private life private, rather than having that be, front and center, contrary to how people tend to operate right now, because they feel they have to, but they don't. So this may be a helpful resource depending on what you are doing. Essentially, like letting, if it's that kind of public-private thing, it's like letting the work speak for itself, letting the product, the business, whatever, speak for itself, rather than you being centered. Like this resource can help with that, so you're not attracting that much attention to you or to the thing, whatever the context is. So that which has to be sacrificed in order to receive that particular resource is the Three of Swords. This is giving me the vibe of like, because the character here is holding the Three of Swords, but it's like protecting it against the lava and the fire. And it's looking around and being mindful of the environment. This may be something where there's a pattern of a lack of good judgment for where certain things are being exposed or how they're being exposed. Like maybe right now, or just in general, the environment is not conducive or safe for you or the thing, whatever that safeness is. Because again, it could be competition, folks trying to steal, thoughts, ideas, whatever, right? It might just not be conducive, and there's an inability on your part, just in general, to be able to like navigate that or strategize that well, or like you just may have made poor decisions in the past. Maybe you've actually just been hard-headed and you've been able to see the danger, but you're just like, well, no, I'm still going to show up in the same way, blah blah blah. And it's like, no. Like that has to be sacrificed in order to make use of this resource. Okay, hope that helps. Next, the 10th resource, Capricorn, is fortune. So the ancestors are providing this resource of fortune. This feels more like luck rather than like currency. Hmm. Yeah, I think this might just be luck. I think what I'm kind of sitting with though is like the consequences of the luck. Just my nature is to think about like the consequences of what we consider both good and bad actions or occurrences. So, like getting what you want, making use of this resource to get what you want. Um, Luck is that wheel, right? So if something is going up, then something else has to come down because that's actually just how things stay balanced. Um, and the down part is not a punishment in really that sense. I mean, it's basically just karma. It's like you reap what you sow, right? Um, so to be, I guess, let me clarify things. So luck, or give my perspective, luck isn't a, I would say luck is not an unearned gift. It's basically being given an opportunity for something while you're engaging in the process for that thing. Okay. So like you're not just going to luck up and win the lottery if you're not actually buying the tickets and picking the numbers, right? Like you actually have to be part of the process. It's not just something that's just being given to you. Like that's not luck. So when that expression comes out that luck is preparation and meeting opportunity, that preparation really is just being in the process of the thing. Whether or not you even like are doing a good job with the thing is irrelevant because that's not actually coming into the equation, to be clear. It's just you're in the process, right? You are trying to get a yes essentially for something. And this is giving you, this resource is giving you the yes. Um, so where the part of me pausing is just being like, okay, if you are getting the yes, what are the consequences of that yes? So yeah, if you like to use the lottery example, if you're like, okay, I want to use this resource to help me win the lottery, um, what are the consequences of that? There's going to be some beautiful consequences, right? But we've all heard and learned about the stories of folks who win vast amounts of money and within a few years they're same place they were before, if not worse off. Excuse me, right? Because they weren't able to actually handle the consequences of that resource. To use that very basic example. So it's not that you can't, it's not that there's not good that's available, but yeah, it's like, do you have the ability to handle what it is that you ask for? And you don't actually know until you go through the process. So, and that's basically how Jupiter operates. Jupiter tends to be associated with fortune, right? Or the Wheel of Fortune card in tarot. Um, it helps you learn by giving you what you want and doesn't really talk much about, if at all, consequences and makes you learn through experience. Whereas Saturn is like, it's going to front load the requirements from beforehand. So it makes it really difficult in the front part of things, the front part of the process. Because it's like, it's not going to sugarcoat. It's not going to like lure you in with what feels good. It's going to be like, no, this is actually what it is. This is what's required. And that can be a harder energy to deal with because like once you know what's required, it's just like, oh, do I really want this thing? But yeah, okay. So what has to be sacrificed in order to get that fortune resource? If it is for you, again, that's something your ancestors will tell you, or available for you, is the Seven of Swords. So yeah, Seven of Swords talks about illusion, delusion, little white lies. Again, like thinking that we do, like whatever it is that we desire is something that is going to be beneficial for us, like for real, for real. Yeah, the illusions have to be sacrificed for that. And that energy has to be used wisely or not. I mean, like you can abuse it, but we don't want to do that to ourselves, right? We don't want a negative experience if we don't have to. All right, 11th resource, Aquarius. We have the Hope card. Getting through these pretty quickly. Look at me. Hope as a resource. This might be similar to that third resource, the Gemini message. This feels like it's a resource to help you remain tapped into your vision, your deeper desire, your deeper goals. So if you are someone where, because like if you look in this card, like there's a lot of red here. It's like stress, obstacles, tough situations, what have you. Sometimes, because this is the access point to the vision, the goal, right? Sometimes this stuff can actually like block our ability to easily recall, remember, align with emotionally, right? Those things that make our hearts sing, make our soul joyous. And that's life. It is what it is. But if this is a point of intense struggle for you, this may actually be a helpful resource if your ancestors do confirm that this resource is available for you to take up from the grand marketplace right now. Let's see if there's anything else around that. Yeah, that feels like it's really important for heart healing and like really just choosing to stay around. Not to get too like heavy, but if you've been having ideating thoughts, like that may be a really helpful resource. All right, the sacrifice in order to receive that resource is the Three of Swords. So Three of Swords talks about like literal heartbreak. Being able to sacrifice up, to give that up, to put that on the altar of the soul in order to receive that resource. So this resource isn't like giving you a hope. It's opening up access around whatever the stuff is to the inner hope that's actually already there. Okay, so it's not imposing something on you. It's kind of like a key to unlock a different pathway of access to that for you. But the sacrifice is the sacrifice of the heartbreak or whatever the tough thing is that has been experienced, the defeat, the obstacle, what have you, disappointment, the betrayal. Could be many things. Could be grief, loss of a job, loss of a loved one, loss of a pet, right? Whatever it is. And last but not least, the 12th resource that's available is the Giving card. This energy is real quiet, so I'm having to quiet the noise so I can tap into what this resource is. So this resource feels like it's a way to get whatever the other is, person, place, thing, other resource, to give a portion to a particular thing, to a particular project, to you for something that you're working on, what have you. Okay, like there's like all these little, these are small streams. It's not necessarily big things, but you know, if you have a lot of streams, a lot of little streams coming from a lot of people, it can turn into something big. So this might be really helpful if you are trying to fundraise. This particular resource might be really helpful if you're trying to fundraise, because it seems like it helps attune specifically to that which will unlock, again, the other to give a little of something. It's not a big something, but it'll help you unlock, give a little bit of something. So it seems, or it feels more sustained than like that fortune resource that I talked about earlier. I think it was the 10th resource, the Capricorn message. Because that was more like a door unlocking, and it's like you get the yes, and then the consequences of that yes is on you. Whereas this is could be a little bit more conducive to sustained benefit. Sustained benefit more so because, again, this is a quality that, or a way of doing things that allows you to always be able to find out a way to receive something, a little something from whoever. Okay. Yeah, so take that as you will. The sacrifice in order to receive that resource, if it is something that your ancestors say is for you or available for you, is a 6 of Cups. It's interesting. This high key feels like a read. It's like, because you see all these cups are providing, you know, a resource. It's like a little bit of resource, but this focus is on a dead thing, where something is not able to be given. So with this card, like, it's, you know, again, it's giving you flow, right? Because there is something that is able to be given. If there's not something able to be given, this resource can't be used. So if something is dead, or there is no points or points of harmony where you and the other can create a pathway of harmony, like there's no giving, right? But this more so is feeling like an obsession, or being obstinate, stubborn about trying to connect to or get life from, get a resource from something that is dead. It does not have the ability to provide. Or at a very basic level, you and that thing are not the same. It is dead, you are alive. Right? Like there's nothing there. And the obsession with that thing, because you want that thing to provide you something, keeps you from seeing or engaging with and accessing these other resources. So this may be really important depending on your situation. If this is, around love and relationships, your inability to receive love in all its various forms, both platonic and romantic, can't get engaged with because you are still obsessed with dealing with trying to get something out of whatever this dead thing is with an ex, or with a parent. This could also be ancestral, right? Preoccupation with ancestral stuff, whatever it is. Again, depending on the context for you and how you want to use it. Okay, so those are the 12 resources that I'm just speaking about from this ancestor sharing ritual and this marketplace. Resources that are being provided by a collective of ancestors, whether we rock with those ancestors or not. These are the resources that are available. Again, this does not mean that all the resources I talked about are available to you. This is just what's on the table. But the intention as I brought these messages forward and prepared this message is that at least one is available for you, for us within the soul family. Your job is to check in with your beneficial ancestors, okay? And to see which one at the very least is. So you need to go through all 12 and see which one is available. There may be more than one that is going to be extremely rare, just because of the nature of this message. So go in like expecting one. If they say maybe another one, receive that. But again, if you do want to receive a resource that is available for you, it's available for the taking, please make note of that which has to be sacrificed in order to receive that thing. Also, sit with your ancestors and the Holy Spirit to talk about how you could even make use of that resource, and the consequence of using that resource, both on the positive side of things, but also on the negative. What are the consequences? What are some potential unexpected things? Now, you're not going to know everything, right? You're not going to be able to perceive all possibilities of consequences, but it's good to know, especially for some of the ones that really are like truly neutral resources, meaning they can be used for the benefit of yourself and humanity, or to your detriment or to detriment of humanity, depending on your nature and your spirit. So, keep that in mind. And yeah, this kind of like ancestor sharing is not exclusive to this particular channeling. I am specifically just tapping in because I was getting the heads up about it. Like, this is something that was available to engage with. I do think it is continuing on through the 10th, August 10th. There may be some smaller kind of markets, if you will, conferences, if you will, through the 11th and the 12th. But today's the full moon, Lionsgate energy. I decided to tap in today. So there are more resources. Again, I just kept this to the 12 for simplicity's sake. So take with that what you will. Enjoy that as you will, or not. But that is there for you. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to comment below. I will respond. But yes, spend time with your ancestors is a really potent and powerful time. This is a really interesting energy to sit into, and it is new. I've never actually had this experience before. So I like the vibe. I like the collective. But yeah, this is, again, think of yourself as going through this grand marketplace, and you're seeing the wares, you're seeing what's available to purchase, and let your ancestors guide you. And I hope that you get something out of it that helps you and also helps others, because we don't want to just think about ourselves, but often, if we are helping ourselves to become better people and evolve, that does positively impact others. So All right, y'all. I love you so much. I gotta run, but hope you all enjoyed. Please do like, comment, and share this video. Please do subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And yeah, check out the blog for anything. And also, new schedule is up for sessions. So you can go to the sessions page of the website if you want to book something for next week. Okay. Love you. Bye.